1000% convinced that the worst time of year for college football is the offseason. Well, Blake, no duh, it's the offseason because we don't have football. No. Since 2021, we've had the issue of changing the sport of football in many ways. Now, in case that you've missed this week, the SEC is going through spring meetings, and all ADs, commissioners, coaches are all in spring meetings with SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey going over a lot of different topics. NIL, the portal, scheduling. Oh, speaking of scheduling, why not go and expand the playoff to 16 teams? Hey, while we're at it, why don't we go to 9 conference games? Now, just so that nobody misses this point, you can go and read all these different things and topics that are coming out of SEC spring meetings. But the truth is there are a couple of different things that are going on in the SEC right now from a football perspective that we have to talk about and that we have to touch on. It does look like that the SEC is going to 9 conference games. And it has been of my humble opinion that it is the dumbest move for the SEC to go to 9 conference games. And it's not even remotely a decision for me. Guys, last year you had teams in the SEC like South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss. Name the teams that went through down the stretch some very brutal schedules. And adding another conference game is not helping anybody, especially in your own conference. Now, you expand the playoffs, you get automatic bids, and you have 3 at large, and maybe you get more teams in the playoff. That's probably your hope. But the truth is that college football is going to do what they did last year. Oh, well, this team, SMU, doesn't deserve not making the playoff because they made it to an ACC championship game. Here's what I see in college football more than I see in anything, is that the SEC is trying to come down a level to some for what feels to be the greater good of college football. Why should you have to step down along with the Big Ten, but I'm just including the SEC here, why should you have to succumb to institutions and conferences like the ACC and the Big 12? They can say that they're not, but they are. They are 1,000% catering to equality, more even so than conferences. Guys, college football is never going to be created equally. When teams can go out there and recruit the absolute best players to come to their team, it's never going to be created equally. In other sports, experience matters. In baseball and basketball, it can win you a lot of games. Hell, it could be a situation where you make a deep playoff run. But for the first time, I think this year in basketball, now I don't really follow basketball like that, we didn't have a mid-major or G5 program make it like they used to, because all of those kids are going to the SEC, Big Ten, wherever they're going, they're going. ACC. But there's never going to be equality in football when you have the ability to recruit and make your own roster. It's not like the NFL, Major League Baseball, or NBA, where you can do trades or you can go through the draft and build your team. The equality in professional sports is not going to ever be the same like it is in football, it's in college, but especially in the SEC. 9 times out of 10, the teams that recruit the best and develop the best will be the best. Now, I start all of this to say, I don't know if you're seeing what's going on. And I talked about, I don't agree with the SEC moving to 9 conference games. You look at schedules around the Big Ten. Well, we have 9 conference games. It's not fair to us in the Big Ten that we have 9. Brother, some of the teams at the bottom of the Big Ten are trash. Well, Blake, y'all have Vandy. Well, Vandy got Diego Pavia, and they weren't trash. I don't think Mississippi State's going to always be trash. Oh, and by the way, Mississippi State, for what it's worth, that's an exception sometimes to an overall rule. They don't always suck. Guys, you had an LSU team that went 8-4 last year. 8-4, and played a middle-of-the-road Baylor team and played around with them. I don't like the idea of playing an extra conference game because who's it going to be? If you're LSU, okay, we'll just add Texas into the schedule. Add Alabama back into the schedule because next year, not this one, but next year you probably, I don't know if you'll play Bama. But just add them back in there because. It's not created equally, and it never will be. Because not only do I disagree with the 9-conference game schedule, I vehemently don't agree with the college football playoff expansion. I never have. Now, you can make the argument, well, Blake, Ohio State won the national championship this year. Okay, sounds good. They did. But the most talented team in all of college football won the national title, but they had no real consequence of losing 2 games in the regular season. It dilutes what happened in the regular season. Completely dilutes it. We're going to 16 teams as if any given year that 16 teams can win a national title. 16 teams. And we're doing these automatic qualifiers, which is a whole different topic, to say to ourselves, oh, well, if you win your conference, you should win. Guys, Clemson went 0-4. 0-4 against the SEC last year. 0-4. You had a team that had an automatic qualifier in Clemson get into the college football playoff last year, and their last regular season game lost to South Carolina. A middle-of-the-pack-ish SEC team. A 9-3 SEC team. Didn't get in the playoff, and they beat them. They beat them. Georgia beat Clemson. Texas beat Clemson. But what do I know? As if the games on the field don't matter. But expanding the playoff for what exactly? For what? So that we could say, oh, we made the playoff. We get some more money. It's all revolved around one thing, money. Now, a lot of people have told me that Greg Sankey is the best commissioner in all of sports. I've heard it said that Greg Sankey is doing everything he can. No, I don't think that he is. Now, I don't think that he has a lot of say in the matter because his bosses, which are the ADs of all the schools that he represents, they all have different opinions, and they're all about their best interests, which has led us down this road, which is not good for the sport. Now, I ask you, do you agree with college football playoff expansion to 16 teams? Because I don't agree with it at all. At all. I don't think you should have 12, and nor do I think you should have automatic qualifiers. The 8 to 12 best teams, fine. Let them get into a playoff and run amok. Let them do what they do. But we should not allow the Big 12 in the SEC and the ACC or any school outside of the Big 10 in the SEC to dictate to anybody what should and shouldn't be done. If the ACC has a year where they have 2 good teams, well, good. If you have 2 really good teams, why do you need automatic qualifiers anyway? It's not my fault that your conference champion went 0-4 against the league. 0-3 against the league, excuse me. Whatever it was, it's not my problem that when the games were played, you couldn't win them. It's not my problem. Now, what people want to point to is that, well, Blake, Arizona State almost beat Texas. Texas almost beat Ohio State, who won the national title. Texas played up and down to the level of their opponent in every single game. Guys, Texas almost lost on the road to Vanderbilt. And we're acting like, oh, well, we got to take this into full account. We make that the norm and not something that just happened once. Guys, this whole bickering from other conferences that we're not getting in, well, the SEC dominates it. They're dominating because they're winning the freaking title every year. The Big Ten is winning the title the last 2 years. What are you talking about? So, In closing, guys, I don't like the direction that college football is heading. And I do a national college football show. I don't agree with 2/3 of what they want to do and what they've been doing. I'm glad for once now it's just natural seeding where it's the top 12 teams and there's still some automatic qualifiers. At least we're not going to have situations where a Boise State team that doesn't deserve it and an Arizona State team that doesn't deserve it don't get first-round buys. I'm glad that that's not going to happen. But I'd be damned if anybody come to me and say to me that we should be, or college fans should be dictated based off of the two biggest conferences, that we're trying to have equality. This isn't a participation trophy league. It's not a participation trophy game. You literally go out there every Saturday to prove who's the best. And quite frankly, over the last 3 decades, who has been the best? Hell, you could just say 2 decades. The teams that constantly win it are from the Southeast or 2 teams in the Big Ten. And Michigan's only won one of them. And Ohio State's been the only team to win the other. But you're trying to sit here and we're trying to sit here and expand the playoff so that everybody has a seat at the table. And what I'm sitting here saying is not everyone deserves a seat at the table. Well, Blake, the ACC, Clemson won the ACC. That's got to mean something. You know what else has to mean something? Clemson has got to go out there and beat South Carolina when it matters, because they didn't. They got to go out there and beat Georgia when it matters. They didn't. 2 years ago and this year, SMU got into the playoff. They didn't deserve it. They didn't play anybody. And the 2 ranked opponents, the toughest opponents that they played, they lost. Hell, you should say 3 because they lost to Penn State too. I look at a situation where the game against South Carolina and Clemson not mattering, but I look at a situation where 2 years ago, Louisville was in the ACC championship game against Florida State. Guys, in a 12-team playoff, they would have gotten in because the argument would have been, you can't punish Louisville for going and playing an extra game against a great team like Florida State. Meanwhile, Louisville, in the last game of the season, lost to Kentucky. So we're expanding the playoff. We're catering to doing 9-game conference schedule in the SEC to cater everybody because equality. Guys, nothing in business, nothing in life is equal. There are people in this world that are better looking than me. Not a lot, but there are some. There are a lot of people in this world that make more money than you and I. There's more people that have more success. There's people in the world that you have more money than, that you have more success than you're better looking than. It's not created equally. Sports is not to be created equally. The only equality that we have is as people. You look at people as equals. But when it comes to a game of sport, when it comes to the SEC catering to the Big Ten pressure of, I guess we're going to go to 9 conference games and make more money because we're getting all the pressure to make more money and go to 9 games so that we all get a little bit more piece of the pie. Why? It's not better for your league. It's not better for the sport. What are we doing? What are we doing? Now, I understand that fans would like to play a game against another opponent in the SEC versus playing South Alabama or Rudy Poo Tech. But as God is my witness, when you lose one of those games, you're going to hate it. When you're outside looking into the playoff, you're going to hate it. When you got to play 6 ranked opponents out of 9 conference games, you're going to hate it. Because let's call it what it is. Who are the 6 teams that you played in conference this year that ended the regular season ranked? Let's go and talk about them. Alabama, Texas A&M, Florida, Ole Miss. That was 1 month. That was 1 month. Would you like for me to continue? Because we can. because we can. That's just 4 of them. It's mind-boggling to me, man. Oh, by the way, Alabama, Florida, Texas A&M, Ole Miss. That's a month worth of your schedule. A month. And before you say it didn't happen, it's exactly what happened. You beat Ole Miss and you lost the other 3. Look, man, I do think that football is heading in a very weird area. In a very, very weird area. I don't agree with the moves that they're making. I legitimately don't. So I know that we're in baseball season and we got a lot of baseball that we're going to talk about now. But as I started it off, every offseason we're doing something, in my humble opinion, to hurt the sport. Every time. You're hurting your conference. The SEC does not need to be dictated to. They're making all of these moves for one reason, and that's money. But everybody wants to go to the playoff, and, well, Blake, anything can happen when you get to the playoff. Guys, there's only a handful of teams that can win it. And by the way, just because Ohio State lost 2 games in the regular season, the most talented team won. At the end of the day, the most talented team in all of college football last year won it all. Go figure. Go figure. It's a wild experiment, man. It's a wild, wild experiment. Paul Martin, before we get rolling here, says the SEC really has no choice but to go to 9 games because they expanded to 16. All of this could have been avoided if they stayed at 12 back in 2011. Paul I don't agree with that. Let me tell you why I don't agree with that. You can say whatever you want, but I look at a team like South Carolina, who at the end of it played a ranked A&M, a ranked Clemson, because some of these teams have to play rival games that are outside their conference. So it's not if you're being fair to everybody, it's not fair to everybody. You don't have to do anything. Go to 9 for what? I mean, like, I could pull up Ohio State's schedule for what it's worth. They played Oregon and Penn State, and everybody else barely got above 500. They played Indiana. Indiana played the softest schedule in the country when it comes to teams in the top 10. They're not created equally. Texas at least had to play Georgia twice, but even their schedule was soft. I mean, I look at Florida. I look at LSU's upcoming schedule. I look at all of these scenarios. I don't agree with going to 9 games. Because of what? The Big Ten feels like that they have a big stick, and we're catering to it for money, and we're catering to it because we think it's going to help us get to the playoff more. It's not. You're going to beat up on yourself more. You're going to beat up on yourself more. That is a fact. Go to 9. Because you're going to – half the teams when you go to 9, more than half, is going to lose. So the 3 at-large bids of a 16-team bid, guys, I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Absolutely chaotic. Absolutely chaotic. Paul Sub also says hashtag shrink the conferences. That I agree with, but they won't do that. Just in case y'all missed it, guys, the ACC and Big 12 threatened to join each other and do a super conference. So stupid. Alexander Taylor says, I actually would rather play Auburn than expansion teams from the Big 12. Fine, play Auburn. Fine. But, guys, here's what's about to happen, just in case you don't know. Y'all, well, number one, you really need to get over to Ruffino and Joe show because we talk about this shit too much. The SEC and Big Ten are about to go into a scheduling contract with one another that you're going to have to play someone in the Big Ten in the beginning of the season, then 9 conference games. So 10, right off the bat, 10 games are going to be against P5 opponents. You cannot convince me that all conferences are created equally. The conference is down last year. The SEC's down. It won't be like that forever. Hell, I don't even think it's going to be like that this year. So now what? I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Let's not talk about Auburn. What if you add Tennessee into that mix and you got to play them? Like, Nico ain't beating us. Guys, they went 10-2. You play them in Knoxville, they might beat you. Hell, they beat Alabama when you couldn't. It's not created equally, man, and it never will be. DA says college football was a lot more fun when players got paid under the table. See, here's the problem with that, DA. This ain't got shit to do with the players. The college football playoff expansion has nothing to do with players. Nothing to do with the players. It has everything to do with Sankey and the SEC and the ADs want more money because now they have to pay players money because of a legal contract. So I guess it does come back to the players some, but the players aren't pushing for more games. They're not pushing for more games at all. And by the way, while we're speaking about the players, if you're going to make them play more games, you better damn sure not kick a kid out for targeting anymore. You're making them play more games and you're telling me it's about safety when you'll kick a kid out for targeting. Get out of my face with that. This has nothing to do with NIL. Everybody's just trying to make more money. Players and conferences alike. We talk shit about the players because it's easy and we can. Guys, every change that's coming, the expanded playoff to 12 now to 16, the conference realignment, all of that shit had nothing to do with the players. None of it. It had everything to do with greedy people who wanted to make more money. Had nothing to do with it. SEC is done for going to 9 games. It's where I sit and where I'll continue to sit. All right. One more, and then we'll get rolling. Brandon Reese says, regardless of what happens with scheduling, LSU is still owed that home game against Texas. Let me tell you this, Brandon. If LSU does not get the first home game against Texas, I'm going to lose my shit. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to absolutely lose my godforsaken mind. But be ready for it because the SEC continues to do Rudy Poo stuff. All right. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about I say 3 teams. We'll talk about Rhode Island tomorrow. We're going to break down DBU and Rhode Island a little bit more and go in a little bit more of a deeper dive on DBU and Rhode Island. We'll talk about Little Rock tomorrow. We'll break down the field of 64 and we'll take your questions at the end here. So, got a good show, big show. Things that I see from DBU and Rhode Island. You know, I think some people wrote off Rhode Island a little bit too quickly when you take a look at them. So we'll get to that as well. All right, let's do this. Let me get to a quick break. When we come back, we break down the field of 64, some easy regionals, some really tough regionals. Tomorrow I might even do a bracket and bring it up and give you what I'm thinking is going to happen here. So we'll do that, but we'll do the field of 64. We'll talk about DBU and Rhode Island as we prep for the Baton Rouge Regional. Before we do that, everybody do us a favor. Hit the like and share. Share to all those groups if you're on Facebook and to all of those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, and wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Let me get to a quick break. When we come back, we discuss all of those things next. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events, with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotions. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to the website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority. Hey, Southwest Louisiana. Are you ready to gear up for your next outdoor adventure or tackle that next big job on the farm? Then head on over to Henderson Tractors, Boats, and Power Sports. At Henderson and Lake Charles, they've got everything you need under one massive 30,000 square foot indoor showroom. Kubota tractors and mowers to power through the toughest tasks. Polaris off-road bikes and side-by-sides to conquer any trail. And tracker boats with brands like Ranger, Nitro, Sun Tracker, and Regency pontoons for a day out on the water. Whether you're a farmer or a hunter or just someone who loves the great outdoors, Henderson has what you need to get the job done and have fun while doing it. Browse their new and used inventory over at their website, hendersonimplement.com. That's hendersonimplement.com. Or give them a call today at 337-436-4366. That's 337-436-4366. Or go see them over in Lake Charles on the corner of East McNee Street and Highway 14. Remember, if you need a tractor, go to Henderson. Need a boat, go to Henderson. Or if you need an ATV or side-by-side, you know where to go. Henderson. Just let them know that your good friend Blake Ruffino over at AYS sent you on by. We're back! Very quickly, I'm reading all of these updates from SEC spring meetings. I see David in the chat saying it goes all back to NIL. No, it does not. They did not have to expand the playoff. They didn't have to expand the playoff. No, they didn't, David. Sorry, you're wrong, bud. Sorry, you're 1,000% wrong there. They didn't have to expand it. They're giving you that as an excuse. They're giving you that as an excuse. I'm sorry, but they didn't. The SEC does not have to go to 9 conference games. Guys, by the way, just a little side note. You're making $1 million of extra money. Sounds great. But, what's your point? I mean, everybody wants to blame the players. And everybody wants to have this stance that Greg Sankey has done the right thing. What has he done? Somebody name it for me. I saw an article today from 104.5 from somebody, I guess, saying he's not doing a bad job. The fuck he's not. You don't know sports and you have not been following it. If you can't see that he constantly runs out there and says, we need governance, then do it. Guys, you have rules in your own conference about tampering and you don't do anything about it. You have rules and regulations that you can uphold as a conference for NIL and you don't do it. Don't you dare come at me and tell me that they don't have the bylaws to do it, because they do. And I don't even know who wrote it. I'm just saying, like, what are we talking about here? All right. Let's get to it here. So, last night we talked about the regional that would be for LSU, and we talked about the teams that would be in the regional for LSU, and we gave probably 2 or 3 for most big key points on those teams. Now, tonight or today, we are not going to talk about Little Rock, because I want to save that for tomorrow and kind of preview what will be game 1 and what you're going into it and what we should expect there. Today, I want to break down DBU and I want to break down Rhode Island. I want to break down DBU first because, look, this is a team that we already played, and it's the number two seed in your regional. Guys, DBU is a really solid club. You know, when people see a team like DBU, they say to themselves, well, we beat them before. You know, they're a number 2 seed. They didn't get the host, which maybe you could have made the argument that they should have. Guys, they're a team that can hit with the best of them. Now, pitching-wise, they've had their struggles, and there's no denying that DBU has had their struggles on the mound, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Because when you look at Dallas Baptist, this is a team that can really hit. A guy that we talked about in February, March is a guy that we got to re-highlight here, and a guy in Grant J. Guys, he's hitting .322 with 19 home runs on the season and 59 RBIs with 18 extra base hits. A guy that really hit a couple of really hard hit balls against you. Now, you went into the game against them, and a big lefty was able to throw them off their game in Connor Ware. Not your best lefty, but a decently moderate, really damn good lefty in the beginning of the season. But Grant J is the catalyst of what this team has needed and built upon to get their offense going, and in a lot of games where they've scored a lot of runs. He's followed by Nathan Humphrey, who's got 17 bombs on the year and hitting .360 with also 18 extra base hits. Guys, you have a team in DBU that's coming into Baton Rouge this upcoming weekend. Whether you like it, love it, or hate it, whether they're playing in a bad conference or they're playing Rudy Putek, whatever. Regardless of all of that, they have a lot of dudes in their lineup that will hear their name called in this upcoming year's draft. They have a lot of guys that are on their team right now that will play at the next level. They have enough guys that can come in here that are talented enough to come in here and give you a lot of issues. Now, do I take you in what you can do on the mound versus what they do at the plate? Yes, I do think that you have the advantage there with Anthony Ianson, Kane Anderson, however you want to do it, really, however you want to match that up. And coming out of the pen with Evans, Cowan, Shores, Myers, wherever you want to go, I do give you, hell, throw Connor Ware against him again. Let's see what happens. I think that you have the advantage. But they have guys like Nathan Humphrey, Keaton Grady, Clayton Cross, Michael Detallo, Michael Detallo. All of these guys hitting well above 300, and guys, they got a lot of power in their lineup. I'm not going to take the game in a midweek type situation and make that the whole thing of what you look about at DBU. Guys, you got to command the strike zone. They're going to go out there and try to hit for power. They're going to try in early parts of the count to search one pitch. You got to be on point. You got to be on command. You got to throw strikes. And guys, quite frankly, when you look at teams like Louisiana Tech when they lost, when you look at the tournament when they lost, what was the reasoning? You throw early ball or early in the count, you throw fastballs down the heart of the plate, that ball is getting sent to Jupiter. You got to locate your pitches. You got to keep them off kilter. This team, when hot, can be one of the more dangerous mid-major teams in all of the country. But you have a guy like Clayton Cross, who also had 14 bombs with 69 RBIs. Guys, the top part of their lineup is touched 40 home runs by themselves. by themselves. And Grant J is the biggest example of that with 19 long balls on the season because they hit with a lot of power. The teams that have beaten them have had guys that can go out there and execute with secondary stuff. Kind of like what Connor Ware did. Kind of like what Zach Cowan did. And kind of like what Cade Anderson and especially Anthony Ianson can do. Now, when I look at DBU, I say to myself, listen, Cade Anderson being a lefty would probably be the better matchup. But Anthony Ianson, for what it's worth, when I've seen DBU, and I went back and watched like 5 games last night, a couple against Louisiana Tech, it's so funny, we tweeted out 3 weeks ago, and I'll go show the tweet to you if you want it. We tweeted out how crazy the game was. I think it was game 1 against Louisiana Tech and DBU, how crazy that game 1 was. But guys, down the stretch when it mattered the most, Louisiana Tech brings in a guy that's locating and throwing strikes with his secondary stuff, and DBU couldn't do anything. Couldn't do anything. And Anthony Ianson is and has got some of the craziest and best shit from a secondary stuff that you're going to see. What worries me about them, though, is when you're not locating, guys, they can come in here and win it. And I say that in saying, like, I feel like when I say that, and maybe you guys in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong, I say that to say, like, hey, I'm not worried about it, but at the same time, you better be on your toes. If you do have to play DBU this weekend, guys, you got 19 home runs, 17 home runs, 14 home runs. That's so much power. The top end of their lineup, technically, has 39 long balls on the season. You have a guy in Keaton Grady who's hitting 348, but I don't know what his status is going to be going into the tournament, but he's only played 44 to 46 games on the season. Do they get a guy like that who's hitting 360 back into their lineup? I don't know. But here's what I do know. What I do know is your matchup with them, the strength is on your side and your advantage. It's your advantage. If you are not on one, though, they're going to run the ball out of the ballpark in Alex box. I'm going to run over to what they've done at the mound. So listen, 2 guys that you likely could see, Ryan Borberg and Micah Bucknam, who you're probably going to see. Micah Bucknam is a guy that everyone should remember was a guy that was at LSU. He has a 4.37 ERA with 78 strikeouts and 59 and 2/3 innings pitched. Guys, I'm just telling you, I'm not saying Micah Bucknam has not had a good season for DBU because he has. I don't think that this is a Sammy Dutton situation where a guy hit the portal and you went up against one of your former players and it didn't go your way. Bucknam has gotten touched. Now, I don't think that you're going to see Borberg because he's been their dude. But what I do say and do think is that you're probably going to see Bucknam, a righty, and guys, quite frankly, I'm not saying that Bucknam can't come in here and shove on you because we saw Sammy Dutton do it, and the kid might be amped up first time through the lineup. But, guys, you should be able to rock him. You should be able to rock him. The biggest issue for DBU this year has been one centric thing. They have not been consistent enough on the mound, especially out of the bullpen, that if you're running these pitch counts up and you're running them up quickly, guys, they're in trouble. And what I think is going to be DBU's biggest weakness, unless they find it some way this weekend, their biggest weakness, if they get into a final game versus you to go to a super regional for whatever it's worth, I don't know if they have the arms to get there. I don't. Not in a regional situation. You do. You do. And if we're being quite blunt and frank in all of this, that is what's probably separated all of these national 16 seeds from everyone who's fighting away from home in somebody's backyard. Like, I look at the field of 64 as an example. It was a reason that Bama had issues. It's a reason that, I could say Florida, but Florida's bullpen had some issues in the beginning. Kentucky, good Lord, their bullpen went booty-boo down the stretch. Georgia Tech, who should have been a top 16 team, down the stretch, their bullpen did not do them any favors. Mississippi State, well, theirs was hitting too, so I guess you can't really throw it there. And NC State. Because all of these teams that aren't hosting had one massive disadvantage. The teams that they were going up against in these 3-game series had more that they could go to out of the pen than they could. And even if, God forbid, you lost a game to DBU, guys, down the stretch, there's no way that you can convince me, or really can convince anybody for what it's worth, that they're going to be able to stick with you in that situation. They got some decent arms, and they got some guys that can throw. But you start getting big late in the counts, you start working the count, and they got to go to the bullpen, or you chase somebody off. Guys, that's where your advantage is too. There's so many advantages against this number 2 seed that you have that I think that clearly that you should win. I will tell you, I should – scared is not the right adjective. But them at the plate does worry me. It worries me because you have a team here that is shown against Oklahoma that's got really good arms, against TCU that's got some really good arms, against Oklahoma State. Guys, they can hit it with anybody. And the more pressure, the better it seems like for them down the stretch. Now, they lost their conference tournament, and it is what it is. But, guys, it's a series or a regional series with a team that's a top 16 team in the country, because I do believe that they deserve to host. I really do. I think they're that good. But because of their conference and because of all these different situations, they don't. But they were certainly in the mix to do that. They worry me. You can be touched if you're not locating your secondary stuff. If you get predictable in counts, they will run a ball out of the ballpark. Guys, they hit more extra base hits than anything. Now, I want to pause here because when you say stuff like that about a mid-major team, you're like, well, Blake, who have they played? Who have they played, Blake? Well, here's what I know. Danny Dickinson was at Utah Valley and had double-digit home runs and hits above 330 in the SEC, or has hit, and I say above in the SEC, he's hit above 330 on your team. I saw Hayden Schott hit above 330 last year, and he came from the Ivy League. You cannot do that in baseball. These experienced dudes and guys, they have dudes that will be drafted now. Drafted. Don't play around with them, because if you do, they're going to run some out of the park. All right. Let's do this. Let's move over to Rhode Island. So a lot of people saw that the Rhode Island Rams got into the regional with LSU and said to themselves, Blake, they're not any good. Rhode Island is no good. Even though they went 22-8 in their conference, even though they went 38-20 on the season, even though they did go to Eugene and beat Oregon in game one scenario, and in 2 games versus Oregon scored 24 runs. Guys, do not, and I mean this, do not sleep on the Rhodey Rams this weekend. Guys, they got, as starters, DePino, senior, Gaithner, senior, Haboko, guess what? I'm going to keep doing it all day. Haboko, junior, but redshirted junior, the big first baseman outfielder. You got Penny, who's a redshirted sophomore. You have Perrin, DJ Perrin, who is a graduate student senior. All of those dudes hitting above 300. Reese Maroney is the guy that leads their team in batting average, and he's a sophomore. But when I look at them, like Ryan King as an example, he's been in 13 games, hitting above 400. I look at Adonis Medina, hitting 281 as a freshman. So they got a lot of experienced guys, a lot of the 6 or 7, depending on how they rotate it, 6 guys to 7 guys that will be in their starting lineup that are juniors or seniors or grad students. Reese Maroney hitting 363. Anthony DePino hitting 359. Eric Ginther hitting 351. Jack Hapoko hitting 345. Brody McKenzie, who I left out, who is also a senior, by the way, hitting above 300. Guys, Rhode Island is a team that got into this regional that everybody is discounting. Nobody is giving the Rhode Island Rams any fighting chance. And I understand why. I understand it. Because I have seen teams in college baseball with this level of experience legitimately come into situations and into regionals and win. Now, Anthony DePino is one of the more dangerous players in all of college baseball. DePino hit 19 home runs with 60 RBIs this season. By the way, he's seeing the baseball brilliantly. He had 55 walks on the season. Now, this is a guy from Madison, Connecticut, who has seen a lot of baseball as a senior, but he still ran out 19. Jack Hapoko, who also is a red-shirted junior, so senior, hitting 345, had 15 long balls on the season, does with 80 RBIs on the year. Some of these guys that you're going to see, some of these players that you're going to see, by the way, walked this season 39 times. Rhode Island is a team, and I know that they play DBU in game 1. Here is a hot take. I don't know if Rhode Island doesn't beat DBU. If you told me right now that DBU got beat by Rhode Island, it would not shock me at all. This team has got experience with trickled-in freshmen that can really play, and here's the truth. Guys, they're very athletic. The Rhode Island Rams on the season, for what it's worth, you had Reese Maroney that stole 24 bases. You have Anthony DePino, the guy that hit 19 bombs. He stole 21 bases on the season. You have Brody McKenzie that stole 20 bases on the season. Now, I don't know if they're going to be able to do that against Luis Hernandez and Kate Aaron-Beatty and the way that LSU holds the runners on. Because they're an athletic team. They're an experienced team. They will play small ball. They will try to run the ball out of the park. Don't sleep on the Rhody Rams. They got into this regional, everybody counting them out. Everybody's counting them out. There's no way they're going into Baton Rouge and winning a game. There's no way. And if they win a game, they're going to do it against Little Rock when they lose to DBU. They're not winning anything. You can't do that again with this team. I am warning you right now. I am warning you right now. Don't you dare sleep on the Rhody Rams. I am highly intrigued. If you're asking me, DBU, Rhode Island, game 2, Baton Rouge Regional, Blake, who wins? I'm giving it to DBU. But, man, I am telling you, if Rhode Island finds a way to win it with the experience, with the track record of what they do on the bases, they get in first and third situations, guys, you better be on your toes because they're going to put dudes in motion. They're going to try to get in delayed steals. They're going to make you make the right play. And if you don't, they will run the score up. Guys, by the way, they did that shit to Oregon. And guys, Oregon's not a bad team. They go into a 2-game stretch, or 3-game stretch, I should say, really. They scored 25 runs against one of the better teams in all of college baseball in a 4-game series. They lost 1-0 against Oregon, but in games 1 and games 3, they scored 12 runs and 13 runs. One of those games they won. Do not sleep on the Rhody Rams. Going 22-8 in their conference, it is what it is. They didn't play in a good conference. I get it. It is what it is. And everybody wants to point to, Blake, they play nobodies. That is fine. I saw them, at least in one small sample size, go up against a team that actually has a pulse in Oregon and do exactly what we just mentioned. They will take a lot of pitches. They will walk a lot. Let's look at their walks on the season. Guys, Maroney has 45 walks. DePino has 55. Hapoko has 39. Ginther has 36. Perrin has 31. Penny has 31. They see a lot of pitches. They want to get on base and cause havoc. It's all they want to do. Now, here's the problem with Rhode Island. The guys that they have on the mound, it's funny that we're bringing this up because we brought it up with DBU. They have a lot of guys that they're gonna use from experience from out of the bullpen. Joe Sabbath being one and Parker Akins the other. Both Sabbath and Akins have 27 appearances on the season. But guys, they're both starting pitching. Both of their starting pitchers got rocked this year in a smaller conference. I saw them from a hitting perspective put pressure on anybody and everybody that they could. Guys on the mound, I mean, they're not good at all. They're not good at all. Now, you have a guy in Leviskick who is going to be their ace, who's got 88 and 2/3 innings pitched this season and 15 starts with a 3.25 ERA. He's given up 83 hits in those 82 and 2/3 innings pitched, but he's got 90 Ks. I think that they're going to throw him game one, so you're not even going to see him. Jeremy Urena, who is going to be the guy, if they find a way to beat DBU, that you're going to see. He's got an over 5 ERA. He's thrown 77 and 2/3 innings pitched, and guys, his numbers are not good. Opponents are batting 271 against him. 271. And when you look at the guys that they're going to bring out of the pen, like Akins and Sabbath, guys, teams have touched Rhode Island nonstop. That has been their Achilles heel. So, not the two teams that you're going to see in game one. Quite frankly, we'll talk about Little Rock tomorrow, but even them, I mean, that's a more difficult situation to really break down and talk about. But the two other teams, the teams that could give you troubles in Rhode Island and in DBU, has some things that should worry you. We look at this regional and we say to ourselves, LSU should run away with it. And the truth is, guys, they should. They should 1,000% run away with this. But I don't know if Rhode Island doesn't come out of that game against DBU and win it. I don't. But DBU does some things that scares me the same as well. So we'll see. But those are the two breakdowns on both of those teams. Let me do this because I didn't realize the time that we had here. Let me get to a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the field of 64 before we wrap it up here as well. But yeah, it's going to be a fun, very, very fun regional for LSU nonetheless. Let me get to a quick break. We're back in just a second. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Foss and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with a great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Foss has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotion. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority. Going back to my first talking point about scheduling, the college football contenders playoff resumes, teams that made the playoffs last year over teams in the SEC. Boise State had a strength of schedule ranked 86th in the country, and Boise State had one win over teams that were in the top 25. Their opponent's winning percentage was .508. Indiana last year had the 65th strength of schedule. They had no wins on teams in the top 25, and their opponent's winning percentage was .438, 43.8% on the season. SMU, who had 0 top 25 wins last year, that had the 75th strength of schedule rank in the country, their records are the record of their opponents last year was 51.6%. Do I need to continue? Notre Dame had one top 25 win against ranked opponents. They had a 57th strength of schedule in the country last year. Their opponent's strength of schedule, or their opponent's win percentage, was 52%. Penn State had one win versus top 25. Now, they had a 36th strength of schedule rank, but opponents that they played had a 47% winning percentage. The SEC, Ole Miss had the 31st strength of schedule. Georgia had the 3rd ranked strength of schedule. Texas, who had the lightest schedule, had the 32nd. Do I need South Carolina had 15th. Alabama had 17th. So we bring this up. I mean, it's just not created equally when we talk about it. All right. Field of 64. So, look, we've talked a lot about the Baton Rouge Regional here. There are some regionals that I think that I'm definitely keeping my eyes on. I'm certainly keeping my eyes on that Hattiesburg Regional with Miami, Bama, and Southern Miss. I have no idea who's coming out of that regional. Zero clue. It will be probably the most fun regional to watch if I had to assume, because all three of those teams can win it to go to a Supers, and I think everybody's sleeping on Southern Miss. I got to be real with you. If you put a gun to my head and told me who would I pick, I would pick Bama, ironically. I do think that Miami is really good too, and Southern Miss is really good too. You know what? Now that I've 2 seconds have thought about that, I don't know who's coming out of that regional, but I know it's going to be fun. The Conway Regional for Coastal Carolina. Guys, I think Florida's going to win that thing. Now, everybody's picking Florida to win it and watch them not do it, but Kevin O'Sullivan finds a way in the postseason. There are some other regionals I'm keeping my eyes on. Obviously, Clemson, so we're not going to talk about that. But one I'm definitely keeping my eye on is that Ole Miss Regional, the Oxford Regional with Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's pissed off, and they have every right to be. Listen, I think that we're about to go through on Friday some of the best playoff baseball that we've ever seen. I love these regional matchups. I think they're going to be really fun. I'm actually just going to make an executive decision right now. I think I'm going to do a bracket, and we're going to run through it tomorrow. I think that would be fun. But, man, the field of 64 is stacked and loaded, and I cannot wait for it on Friday. So we'll see. All right, I got to run. We'll see y'all tomorrow, man. Y'all have a blessed day. Do us a favor. Hit the like and share on your way out. We greatly appreciate it when y'all do that. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a good night. Peace.